12th meeting of the Verona Common Council, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll have the roll call. If you would, Ms. Schofield, please.
Alderperson Diaz.
Here.
Alderperson Doyle.
Here.
Alderperson Linder.
Here.
Alderperson McGilvery.
Here.
Alderperson Reekie.
Here.
Alderperson Steiner.
Here.
And Alderperson Touche.
Present.
Alderperson Yurs is absent and excused this evening.
Thank you. We do have a quorum, so we will proceed with the agenda. Next on the agenda is public comment. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to speak this evening, if you do, please come to the podium, state your name and address. There should be a sign-up sheet. Anyone from the public that wishes to speak this evening? Anyone from the public? Not seeing any. We will move on then. Next, we have approval of minutes from the December 15th meeting of the Common Council. The minutes were included with your packet. What is your pleasure? We have a motion by Ms. Reekie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McGilvray. Were there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the previous meeting? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried and the minutes are approved. Under Mayor's business, I just have one item this evening, and that is a proclamation for our school crossing guards. And I will read the proclamation. It's whereas Verona's adult school crossing guards provide an individual service in helping to ensure the safe passage of our youngest, most vulnerable pedestrians, that is, the children walking between home and school. Whereas the adult school crossing guards typically serve with a dedication that discounts the rigors of harsh weather, split shifts, and heavy traffic. And whereas for more than 4 decades, adult school crossing guards have served the Verona community. And whereas adult school crossing guards add to the effectiveness of the student safety patrol members with whom they often serve and whose activity they help direct. And whereas adult school crossing guards help reinforce in the minds of young people they assist the importance of traffic hazard identification and safe street crossing behavior. And whereas school assemblies, school board resolutions, police department support, parent-teacher organization observances, local news coverage, and especially kind words from our children will help to convey the gratitude of our community for the life-saving, injury-reducing role that Verona's adult school crossing guards play. Now therefore, I, John Holcomer, Mayor of the City of Verona, do hereby proclaim January 12th through January 16th, 2015 as Adult School Crossing Guard Recognition Week. And I invite the City of Verona, and I invite all the citizens to join me in this recognition, and it is signed and dated on the 12th day of January 2015. So again, this is something that we do on an annual basis. We have a resolution, and we acknowledge the good work that our adult school crossing guards do. They're just, over the years, I've heard many just really neat stories from kids about the adult school crossing guards, and a lot of times it may be one of the few, or they spend more time talking to them about things that they would normally talk to another adult, and it's just really interesting. So we are very appreciative of all the work that the adult school crossing guards do for us. So if you get a chance, if you see the school guards, when I see them, I always wave to them, and they're always so friendly. Usually they wave before I do, but it's just thank them if you get the opportunity to do it. With that, that concludes my remarks this evening. We will move next to the administrator's report. Mr. Burns, please.
Yeah, thank you. A couple updates this evening. First of all, I'd like to announce that the city's website update is now live. That went live in December, just before the holidays. That does include some new features that hopefully should make it easier for residents to find information and share it with the City Council. There's options where people can sign up under Notify Me for updates about city meetings and news items, as well as a request tracker that makes it easier for people to report concerns and then track the status of those concerns. So I'd encourage everyone to take a look at the city's website, www.ci.verona.com. wi.us. And please, if there's any comments or feedback, we'd be very interested in hearing about that. We're also exploring an option to also get a shorter, simplified URL name for the website that doesn't have all the dots in there, and we'll provide that update as soon as we're able to. City staff, in particular the emergency services, will be working on an emergency training program in 2015. As part of the budget process, there was funding in the emergency preparedness budget for a tabletop and a full-scale exercise in the city of Verona. There was also a grant requested through Wisconsin Emergency Management. We have received word that that grant has been funded, and the police department is taking the lead in planning for this exercise. There's a planning meeting taking place this Thursday. A tabletop emergency operations center exercise is planned sometime this spring, with the full-scale exercise at either the high school or the middle school facility planned in July. And there'll be additional information coming out as we get farther into the planning process. The police department is doing a recruitment for a police officer. Applications for that vacancy are due February 23rd. And the fire chief will be working with me shortly on the recruitment process for the deputy fire chief position for the fire department. I know the chief has indicated that he'd like to get that process started shortly. And finally, an update on the city's North Neighborhood Plan. Per our agreement with the City of Madison, we need to submit that plan for consideration by the City of Madison because that North Neighborhood is in the joint planning area under that agreement. We've received word that that plan will be introduced to the Madison City Council by Mayor Soglin at the 26th of January City Council meeting, and then is expected to go to the Madison Plan Commission in February and back to the council for their action on that in February. We're also anticipating that we would be bringing this item back for discussion at the Verona Plan Commission and City Council, and hopefully once the neighborhood plan is adopted, the city would be in a position to start the urban service area amendment process for that north neighborhood, which we'd like to get started as soon as we can following adoption of the plan. And I'd be available to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Burns? Not seeing any. Thank you, Bill. We will move then to the engineer's report. Mr. Gunlock, please.
Thank you. I'll give the council an update on several of the projects that AECom is working on presently. The first one is the Locust Drive Bridge widening. The final plans and bidding documents will be submitted to the Wisconsin Department of Transportation by the end of the week for approval. We expect that the project will be advertised for bids in early February with a March 5, 2015 bid opening date. Award would then be made sometime in March with a late April to early May construction start date. Construction would be completed by the end of August, and during construction, Locust Drive will be detoured through the Cathedral Point subdivision to Range Trail. The next project is the 2015 street rehabilitation project. The pulverize and overlay that the city does every year. The construction documents have been completed and are under review by Mr. Reeder at this time. It's anticipated the project will be advertised for bid later this month with a bid opening in mid-February. Construction would commence in late April or May and be completed by mid-August. And finally, the North 9 Mound Road reconstruction project. Construction and bidding documents for the North 9 Mound Road reconstruction will be completed by the end of the month. Acquisition of right-of-way is set to start. Bid date for this work will be set after it's determined just how long it's going to take to acquire that right-of-way. We really can't build it until we have the right-of-way. And that concludes my report for this evening. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Gunlock? Ms. Reekie?
I had one that'll hopefully be easy to answer. Just what exactly is the detour around the Locust Drive Bridge?
Whispering Pines, East Whispering Pines Trail, I believe it is. It's to the south. It's to the south end of Cathedral Point. It's the street that was finished this last fall and brought out to Locust Drive. Welcome.
Would be the southernmost street in that subdivision. Other questions for Mr. Gunlock? Not seeing any, Bob, thank you.
Welcome.
We'll move then to committee reports. Begin Finance Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under item 9A1, I'll make a motion to approve payment of the monthly bills in the amount of $803,666.30.
We have a motion by Mr. McGilvray. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Doyle. Mr. McGilvray?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the way of explanation, 3 of the larger items from this month's bills, first being to AECom Technical Services, Inc., $70,306.36. The Lions portion of that bill is for 2 of the projects that Mr. Gunlock just mentioned. Nine Mound Reconstruction Project, which is a TIF 7 expense, and the Locust Drive Bridge. Second payment being to Fitch-Rona EMS District first half operating apportionment. That's $174,062.50. And finally, to Iowa Grant Trucking, Inc. for the Liberty Park Streets utility cost, which is the city facilities infrastructure cost, at TIF 6 expense, $182,438.17.
You've heard the explanation of the major expenditures. Are there any questions for the committee or for city staff? Not seeing any. The motion before you is to approve the payment of bills in amount totaling $803,666.30. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, and the bills have been approved. Mr. McGilvray, anything else from the Finance Committee?
That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to new business. Under new business, we have discussion and possible action regarding approval of an easement agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for the installation of a geothermal field for the city's fire and EMS facility. Mr. Burns, did you want to give the background there, please?
Yes, the design of the city's fire and EMS facility includes a hybrid geothermal system where a geothermal system with underground piping is used to supplement the traditional in-building heating and cooling, reducing the energy demand and the cost of energy for the facility. As part of that system, there needs to be a field for these geothermal pipes. And the original layout proposed during the design stages for the project included having those in a T shape kind of underneath the stormwater detention area and then extending east and west along the Military Ridge Bike Trail, including onto property south of the ice arena and the outdoor ice rink. As we got a contractor on board and started working with the contractor, it was suggested that we look at an alternative layout for a couple reasons, both to avoid losing a number of trees near the ice arena, some challenges with construction of doing open excavation next to the ice arena, and to make for a more efficient system that allowed for longer runs for the piping. The city did have discussions with the Department of Natural Resources about possibly being able to extend the piping to go underneath the stormwater detention facility on the fire station site and extending farther to the south under the Military Ridge Bike Trail. The DNR was open to that discussion and have approved an easement that would allow us to place that piping underneath the trail. These pipes would be at depths of 20 and 30 feet, and they would be installed through directional boring, so there would not be a disruption to the surface of the bike trail. Basically, it would just be underground piping underneath that section of the trail. The directional boring equipment would be able to operate on the City Hall side of the trail and the fire station site, so there's no need to disturb the trail. As part of granting the easement, the Department of Natural Resources does have a process that they go through for evaluating the cost of an easement, and that calculation came up with a cost of $4,850, and that's an item that would come from the project contingency for the fire and EMS facility, and we do have dollars available within that contingency. A feeling from the project staff is that recommending approval of this, it'll result in a more efficient system, minimizes the disruption and potential impact on other adjacent property, and it's also significantly less expensive than installing a vertical geothermal system, which was an alternative bid item with a cost of $42,000. So the recommendation is to approve, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. McGilvray?
I'll defer to Ms. Ricky. That's fine.
Ms. Ricky?
Okay. I just was wondering if you have an estimated number of trees that will be downed or shrubs or anything for this project? Because I know it was sort of appalling to some people when more trees have been taken down already than expected originally. So if we could just kind of have a heads up.
Just to clarify, are you referring to the entire fire station project, not the installation of the geothermal? Because-
In relation to this additional information about the geothermal.
Yeah, for the geothermal system, because they'll be installing this through directional boring, there would be no additional trees that need to be removed as part of this going in. So there were trees that were removed in order to allow for the stormwater detention area. The geothermal will be located under that, but there won't be additional trees removed specifically for the geothermal system. As far as the total number of trees removed on site, I don't have that number available, but if there are concern, let me know and I can follow up with any of those.
No, you answered what I was asking, so thank you.
Okay.
Other questions, Mr. McGilvray?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question concerning the easement. Is the easement allowed somewhere between 20 and 30 feet below the surface, or does the easement include properties that come right up to the bike trail itself? Are we paying for an easement that is 20 to 30 feet below the surface?
Mr. Burns?
The easement is specific to the geothermal field, so it refers in the document to the geothermal field that will be installed at depths of 20 to 30 feet. The easement is for what is needed for the geothermal system, so it does not include the ability to install other items in that area. It's specific for this system.
Thank you.
Further questions, comments, or potential motions?
I'll make a motion.
We have a,
I would make a motion to approve the payment of the purchase of the easement in the amount as outlined, excuse me, let me get to that. Is it $4,800? $4,850.
we have a motion by Mr. McGilvray. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Touche. We are open for discussion on the motion. Is there any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, and that motion carries. Next, under new business, we have approval of operator licenses. Ms. Schofield, please.
There are 3 operator licenses for approval tonight from Heidi Dunn at Cahoots, Zachary Lane, and Nicholas Cervenka at Prairie Oaks Sitco.
You've heard the applications. What is your pleasure? We have a motion by Mr. Touche. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGilvray. All those in favor of the approval of the operator license application signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. We are on to announcements. Do we have any announcements this evening, Mr. Steiner?
Thank you, Mayor. Also, thank you, Mayor, for the proclamation to our crossing guards. The police department will be honoring these crossing guards this Friday at an egg coffee breakfast at 5th Quarter, 9 a.m. on the 16th. And all council members are willing to come. They may be able to, and say thanks to these people for doing such a good job. And it's just eggs, though, and coffee. So it's not a filling breakfast, but it's a lot of fun to hear the stories of what these people go through. And you really become more appreciative of what they go through. So if you can join us, please do. Also this weekend, Singing in the Rain for the Verona Area Community Theater. Tickets are on sale. VACT.org or 845-VACT for this weekend, the 16th, 17th, and 18th at the Performing Arts Center. They're also seeking donations for their new building. So if there's anyone out there that's hearing this announcement and you participate in the arts or you attend the performances of these people and appreciate what they do, put your money where your mouth is and give them a little donation. They've raised over $1 million already, and their goal is $2 million though. So they got a ways to go. Then on the fun side, next Wednesday, the 21st, Verona Area Community or Historical Society has their monthly meeting, and we're identifying pictures, having a lot of fun, going back into the 40s and 50s and 60s. We lost one of our most knowledgeable guys here last December, Ernie Johnson, who knew a lot of these people, but Andy has done a real good job of taking pictures, and he blows it up on that big screen down at the senior center, and the pictures of the faces about the size of a grapefruit, so it's helped as we try to figure out who all these Verona citizens were back in those days. So if you have time and you want to witness that, it's a lot of fun to hear those stories too. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steiner. Any other announcements this evening? No other announcements. A motion to adjourn would be in order. We have a motion by Mr. Linder. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Ricky. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.